Welcome to the Daily Insider here on VegasInsider.com. Kevin Rogers with you here on this Friday, June 25th. We're reaching the end of June, and we're still not even at the NBA Finals yet. Usually you'd have the NBA Finals wrapping up at this point, but obviously with everything moved back, we're still in the conference finals, and the Clippers, again, a Game 3 victory, down 2-0. We'll talk about that in just a second. Also, we'll look ahead to Hawks and Bucks. And we have one team in the Stanley Cup Final, the Montreal Canadiens, of course, just like everybody thought before the playoffs would begin. But let's first start with a reminder about the Daily Insider Contest, which we have every day from Monday through Friday here on our YouTube channel. And all you have to do to enter the contest is put your Vegas Insider user ID in the comments section below, along with your best bet for the day. Now, it can be Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, WNBA. It doesn't matter. It cannot be a live bet, though. It's got to be before the game. If it's a side, a total, a player prop bet, a first 5-inning bet in baseball, a first half bet in the NBA, a first quarter bet in the NBA, it doesn't matter. That's up to you. It just has to be before the game. It cannot be in the middle of the game. So we have that contest, which you can enter, and the prize, in case you're wondering, is a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper of your choosing on VegasInsider.com. So 7 days of one handicapper. It's a $100 value you get for free. Now, the way you win that prize is by putting your Vegas Insider user ID along with a best bet for the day. Now, A, you have to win your best bet to be eligible for the prize. And B, if you do win, then you'll be in the drawing for the prize. You won't win it automatically. You'll be in the drawing for it. But if you lose, then you won't win. Now, if you are new to the live stream, we welcome you. And if you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, it's very easy to get. All you have to do is go to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner, click on that, and then go to free membership. Register now. And then create a password, create an ID, and it's all free. And put your email address along with your first and last name so we can get in contact with you, and then you'll be all set to go. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos here on the Vegas Insider YouTube channel. All right, we're actually going to go a little out of order today and start with the NHL, considering the Stanley Cup Final begins next week, and we have one team. And the Montreal Canadiens, who were left for dead in the first round against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were down 3-1. They were finished, but since being down 3-1, the Canadiens are 11-2 their last 13 games, which is unthinkable because the Montreal Canadiens were the 4th seed coming out of the North Division and pretty much had no shot against Toronto. The Maple Leafs were going to be in this Final Four with all the restructuring of the divisions for this season. But the Maple Leafs totally fell apart in that first round. So Montreal came back and won 3 straight to knock out their rivals 4-3. Then the Canadiens swept the Winnipeg Jets in a 4-game series. Then they faced the Vegas Golden Knights, who were supposed to walk all over the Canadiens in this series, and that was not the case. The Canadiens won in overtime last night at home. They knocked out the Golden Knights in 6 games. They won as a plus 115 underdog. And the Canadiens are advancing to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 1993. And they are looking to become the first Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup Final since the Montreal Canadiens in 1993. It's been a long time. There have been other Canadian teams that have made the Stanley Cup. Vancouver a few times. We've seen Ottawa make it. Toronto hasn't made it in a million years, so we can't include them. But the Calgary Flames made it one time against Tampa Bay. But Montreal, though, they are in the Stanley Cup Final. They will take on the winner of Tampa Bay and the Islanders. And at this point, with the way Montreal has played, there's no reason to think they couldn't even win another round because they should have been done in the first round against Toronto, and they weren't, and they've just been on fire ever since, and they have one of the best goalies in the world in Carey Price. And if you can get Tampa Bay and Montreal in the final, Carey Price and Andrei Vasilevsky in the nets, that's going to be awesome seeing those two teams. And not to say that you don't want to see the New York Islanders, because the Islanders, it's just a gritty team that the most talented teams left were Tampa Bay and Vegas. And now that Vegas is gone, and Vegas had some goalie issues. I guess that's the other thing. If you have the goalie issues, it's going to be hard to make it this far. Montreal does not have the goalie issues. Tampa Bay does not have goalie issues. But now the Canadians are waiting for the winner of Tampa Bay and New York, which is coming up tonight in Tampa. And you see the Lightning there, minus 165, minus 175 favorite. And Nikita Kucherov, we'll see what his status is for Tampa Bay tonight. Obviously, big if he doesn't play, or if he does play. But Tampa Bay shut out New York 8-0 the last time they played at Amalie Arena in Game 5. And then in Game 6, the Islanders came back with an overtime win at Nassau Coliseum, and they're soon going to move to a new arena. So the Nassau Coliseum, they'll be done, and they don't want that to be the last game, even though they won there in the last game. They want to have the Stanley Cup final there against Montreal, which would be pretty unbelievable. But the Islanders got to get through tonight against Tampa Bay. Game 7, winner take all. And you can't really say win or go home because you're Tampa Bay. You can still lose and go home or stay home. But the Lightning, though, sizable favorite tonight against the Islanders, and Montreal waiting in the wings for the next round, the Stanley Cup final. All right, let's take a look now at the NBA. And you got Hawks-Bucks tonight we'll talk about in just a second. Suns and the Clippers last night, and of course, Chris Paul comes back. The masked man, Devin Booker, apparently had issues with the mask because he didn't shoot the ball well. He didn't shoot the ball well in Game 2 either. But the Clippers come out with a 106-92 win over Phoenix to get back in the series. That marks 3 consecutive series now. The Clippers have trailed 2-0 and won Game 3. And they did it in the opening round against Dallas. They did it in the second round against Utah, and then last night against Phoenix. And in the 3 games, they won by 10, they won by 26, and they won by 14. But then in Game 4 of each of those series, the Clippers won by 25 against Dallas. They won by 14 against Utah, and now question mark going into Game 4. So the Clippers have done the incredible Houdini act of just disappearing the first 2 games and then coming back in the next 2, or in the Utah series, they won 4 straight. And last night, obviously, Chris Paul was not, maybe a little rust on him. He did have 15 points and 12 assists, but Chris Paul was 5 of 19, Devin Booker 5 of 21, so the 2 of them combined to go 10 of 40 from the floor. DeAndre Ayton had 18 points, but he was a minus 25 last night. And the Suns, look, you can't win if you're shooting 39% from the floor. Just not going to happen. Now, for the Clippers, Paul George didn't have a great night shooting, but he finished with 27 points and 15 rebounds. Zubac, the center, had 15 points and 16 rebounds, so that's good. And Reggie Jackson continued to have a solid series with 23 points. Terrence Mann had 12. I think having, the expectation of him doing what he did in Game 6 against Utah to continue is pretty unrealistic. But if he scores in double figures, that should be good enough for the Clippers. And they got 9 from Luke Kennard, 8 from Beverly, 8 from Marcus Morris. They hit 12 threes in the game. They shot 45%. The key was the third quarter because the Clippers led by 8 at the end of 1. Then the Suns came back and took a 2-point lead at the end of the half. But then it was all Clippers in the second half. And Phoenix, look, 21, 27, 21, 23. That's not going to cut it. It really isn't. And Phoenix has their 9-game playoff winning streak snapped. And now the Suns favored again going into game number 4 Saturday night at Staples Center. Tonight you have the Eastern Conference Finals continuing, Atlanta and Milwaukee. And the Bucks an 8-point favorite against the Hawks after Atlanta surprised Milwaukee in game number 1. And that marks the 3rd straight series that Atlanta has taken the road opener. Well, I mean, they've all been on the road, but they won at New York, they won at Philadelphia, and then they won at Milwaukee. And that game also went over the total of 226, and that total, that same range, say around 225. You had bad shooting nights from three-point range in Game 1 from the Hawks and Bucks. Also, not a lot of free throws taken by either team, but a lot of shots taken. It was 95 by Atlanta and over 100 by Milwaukee. Trae Young blew up. We know what Trae Young can do. Giannis had a good game for the Bucks. Chris Middleton needs to shoot the ball better. All the perimeter guys for the Hawks need to shoot the ball better. I think this one goes over again, personally, tonight. That a lot of people will think that you're going to see flip-flops like we saw in the Suns-Clippers series. Game 1 went over, then Game 2, easy under. But Atlanta, though, they can't keep up with Milwaukee. Milwaukee has not shot the ball well. We're waiting for Milwaukee to shoot the ball better, and they really haven't. So just kind of they're getting the shots. It's just about hitting the shots. But Atlanta, though, on the other side, they have lost Game 2 of each of their first 2 series against the Knicks and against the Sixers. So you wonder now if Milwaukee can get that Game 2 win and cover. They were up 7 with 4 minutes to go, the Bucks in Game 2. Or Game 1, rather. So it's not like Atlanta won wire to wire. Milwaukee had leads. Atlanta came back. Milwaukee came back, but then the Bucks just couldn't close out the Hawks. So Atlanta now a heavy underdog again, and the Hawks definitely not afraid of playing on the road. I mean, the Hawks, this is what everyone predicted, right? The Canadians to be in the Stanley Cup final and the Hawks maybe to be in the NBA Finals. It's not insane, but Atlanta, they can get this one tonight to be up 2-0. I don't think they're dead at all if they lose tonight. Going back to Atlanta for 2. They did struggle, though, at home in the Sixers series. Forget about the Knicks. They're better than the Knicks. They blew them out a couple times at home. But against Philadelphia, the Hawks went 1-2 in that series at home. And the one game they won, they were down big in Game 4. So that's where you kind of wonder. I mean, Atlanta's playing better on the road than at home, it feels like, so far in these playoffs. So you got that, and then Phoenix and the Clippers on Saturday. That's actually the lowest total of the series so far, that 219 when they play. It's a 9 o'clock tip on Saturday night on ESPN for the Suns and the Clippers. Now let's look at Major League Baseball, and we will look at the very busy Friday slate. Colorado and Milwaukee, they lead things off today. I actually have 2 games at 4 o'clock, 4:10. Rockies, Brewers, and Mets and Phillies. Feels like the Mets play a doubleheader every other day. But we'll begin with Milwaukee and Colorado, and the Brewers somehow. I mean, I saw the offense they threw out there for the finale of the Arizona series, in which they ended up winning 3-2, and they actually won 4 of their final 5 games on that road trip at Colorado and Arizona. I mean, again, not great competition, but Brandon Woodruff went in that final game, and he pitched very well. He bounced back from losing to Colorado's last time out. But that offense that Milwaukee threw out, Christian Yelich was out. Lorenzo Cain is hurt. They just have nothing right now. The Brewers have nothing offensively. Vogelbach, that big guy, he got hurt running the bases in the Arizona series. So, and Travis Shaw is out. That Milwaukee, they have to depend on a really solid pitching staff, which they have with Brandon Woodruff, with Freddie Peralta, and with today's starter, Corbin Burns, who actually picked up a no decision his last time out against the Rockies when he faced him, a 6-5 defeat. He gave up 4 earned runs and 5 1/3. The only caveat there is, or caveat or kicker or whatever word you want to use, that Colorado has turned out to be one of the better home teams in Major League Baseball this year. They're the worst road team in baseball, considering there are 2 other teams that currently have 20-plus game road losing streaks, Baltimore and Arizona. And yet Colorado is still worse on the road than both of them. But the point is now Corbin Burns gets the Rockies in Milwaukee. And so far on the season, Burns hasn't even been that great at home. The Brewers he's 2-4 in his home starts this year. So that's a little bit of a concern there for Milwaukee if you're backing them as that heavy of a favorite. John Gray, he returns to the mound today for the Rockies. He last pitched 3 weeks ago against Oakland, allowed 5 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings. The Rockies 1-4 his last 5 starts, and in that span, he's allowed 22 runs. So Low total today. Milwaukee's offense isn't good. Colorado's offense on the road isn't good. But Gray has been one that he is that Gray has struggled, and Burns trying to get on track at home. Phillies and Mets, 2 for today. Aaron Nola is going to start in that opener against Taijuan Walker. I'm surprised that total is 6. I would have thought that would have been a little lower total, considering that, well, Nola struggled this season, but considering the every time the Mets play at home, and the Mets have really good pitching at home, and yeah, Stroman's hurt now. I mean, DeGrom is fine, even though it feels like he leaves every one of his starts, but after he strikes out 10 in like 5 innings. But the Mets, though, they keep pitching very well at home. Now they get the Phillies. Aaron Nola lasted 2 1/3 his last time out at San Francisco. Gave up 6 earned runs, but the Phillies still beat the Giants 13-6. And Nola, who doesn't have good road numbers, 6 ERA so far on the season, on the road, in fact. He's 5-4. I mean, Zach Wheeler's been the best starter for the Phillies this season. And then Taijuan Walker goes for New York. And Walker's actually pitched well, ERA below 3. And he did give up 10 hits and 4 earned runs his last time out against Washington. But so far in the season, Walker 4-0 record at Citi Field, 1.49 ERA. Then you got Matt Moore and David Peterson in the nightcap. And I don't know if I've seen a 7 total on a 7-inning game this year. Maybe earlier in the season, but it does seem kind of high considering. But also the Mets, they've had so many games this year, these 7-inning games, especially at home, which had 2 against the Braves, both easy. Well, let me take that back. Okay, hold on. Their low-scoring games, one went over because you had a 4.5 total with the Braves and Mets with DeGrom on the mound. It was a 4-2 game, so barely went over, and then you had a 1-0 game in the nightcap back on Monday. But for the most part, these are low-scoring games when the Mets are playing these 7-inning games. And it's David Peterson and Matt Moore, so you have a good pitching matchup in game 1. I mean, the way it'll probably turn out, you probably get racked in game 1 and then have a good pitching matchup in game 2. The Washington Nationals are one of the hottest teams in baseball. Well, actually, they're right behind the Houston Astros. Houston's won 11 straight, but Washington, they are on fire right now. They won at Miami last night in blowout fashion, 7-3. If you had the under like I did, well, Kyle Schwarber didn't help. He had 2 more home runs. But then the Marlins hit a 3-run homer in the 7th inning, and then it was a 7-3 game. So, like, that's how it all kind of fell apart there in that game. But Washington now, the run they've been on is amazing. I mean, they've done a lot of it without Max Scherzer. He pitched the other night against the Phillies. But the Washington Nationals right now, they've won 10 of 11. So they have caught fire, and the last 2 games they've scored 20 runs. John Lester goes tonight against Pablo Lopez, and Lester, recently, his numbers have been pretty good. He's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 5 straight starts. So that's good news for Lester. Went 5 scoreless innings last time he faced the Marlins back in late April. And look, Miami, they're just not good offensively. It's as simple as that. Their last 4 games, they've scored a combined 5 runs. Before that, they had 10 and 11 against the Cubs on the road. But Lopez goes tonight. He did win his last start as an underdog against the Cubs. 7 scoreless innings, allowing 1 hit. His best start of the season. Now it's just about doing it again. Guy's got an ERA of 1.89 at Lone Depot Park, formerly Marlins Park, Lone Depot Park. But he's just 1-3 in those starts. Or he's 1-3 so far at home on the season, and he beat the Rockies. I mean, does it really count when you beat the Rockies when they're the road team? But the Marlins, though, they continue to struggle, and that number's gone in Miami's favor, so the Marlins are a substantial favorite there against the Nationals tonight. Braves and Reds in Cincinnati, and last night the Reds beat the Braves in the opener. Braves hoping to get Ronald Acuna Jr. back in the lineup because he's been hurt, but the Reds now back above 500 after they had that miserable end of the road trip at San Diego, then lost the opener at Minnesota. They won the second game against Minnesota, then beat the Braves last night 5-3. And Atlanta, again, the seesaw season, 35-39 for a team that was one win away from the World Series last year. Drew Smyly goes for the Braves, 5.11 ERA on the season, but he did go 5 2/3 scoreless, allowed one hit against the Cardinals his last time out. So that definitely means that it definitely means he's getting racked tonight, right? Because he's actually had a lot of high-scoring games in the road as far as what the Braves have done for him in his road starts. 6, 9, 5, 6. His last 4 road starts. That's what the Braves have provided him. And Vladimir Gutierrez goes for Cincinnati tonight. He's a good young pitcher out of Cuba, but he got knocked around his last time out against San Diego, allowing 5 earned runs in 5 innings and a 7-5 loss to the Padres. Before that, he allowed 7 earned runs combined in his first 4 starts. So maybe does he go backwards? That's the question. 10.5 total tonight in Cincinnati. The Pirates finally beat the Cardinals this season. I mean, St. Louis is an utter disaster right now. But Pittsburgh was 0-5 against St. Louis this season before winning last night at Busch Stadium. And look, the Pirates the expectations are they're one of the worst teams in baseball. That was going into the season. They had a decent start. They kind of fell back. But Pittsburgh playing better of late. They've won 4 of 6, and I know that's nothing to write home about, but for Pittsburgh, they beat Cleveland twice, they beat the White Sox at home and lost 2 other games by a run, and they beat St. Louis. I mean, that's decent competition they're playing right now. They won 8-2 last night. That game went over the total of 9. St. Louis, let's go back to their last 9 games. Tell you how many runs they've scored. 2, 2, 2, 0, had a 9, 1, 0, 1, 2. So except for the 9 against Atlanta, they've scored a combined 10 runs in the other games. This offense just isn't good. And they throw out Kwang Young Kim tonight, and we'll see what he can do. He's had some struggles of late for the Cardinals. I mean, he pitched well in his last start against the Braves. But Will Crow goes for Pittsburgh. Honestly, why not take another shot with the Pirates? I just don't know why you would try to go with the Cardinals and think they're going to end this losing streak. They've lost 4 in a row. And Atlanta, no matter how talented they are, they're under 500. Detroit's under 500. Pittsburgh's under 500. You're not even facing good competition. You can't beat them. Speaking of not good competition, the Arizona Diamondbacks have lost 23 straight games. 23 in a row. And if you're Baltimore, you don't feel that bad, right? You've lost 20 straight, and that's not the longest road losing streak in baseball right now. But Arizona heads to San Diego, and the Padres, a $3 favorite against the Diamondbacks. Chris Paddock on the mound for San Diego tonight. This is a very curious spot, okay? Very curious. Understandably, we know the Padres are much better than the Diamondbacks. We know Arizona's a complete train wreck right now. But let's just put this on the table right now, on the mythical table. The Padres swept the Reds in a 4-game series. They followed that up with a 3-game sweep of the rival Dodgers. That Padres-Dodgers is now turning into the new Yankees-Red Sox, even though they play this weekend. But that's turning into like the new rivalry. The thing that just hinders them is they're out west and people don't get the late games. But Padres-Dodgers turning into a nice rivalry. And San Diego swept LA. So San Diego's on a 7-game winning streak. Now they get the Diamondbacks, who had a 17-game losing streak snapped against Milwaukee, and then they lost the next 2. So 1-7, they've lost 19 of 20, the Diamondbacks. So you say now, do you take a shot with them? Do you take a shot even with Arizona plus 1.5? Corbin Martin goes for Arizona. His numbers, 0-2, 8.62 ERA, allowed 4 earned runs and 7 hits in less than 4 innings against the Dodgers his last time out. So not a lot of faith there, I'm sure. For Chris Paddock, though, he lasted 5 innings his last time out. He's 4-5, 3.53 ERA. And the Padres are 6-2 his last 8 starts. He's allowed 2 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts, 20 strikeouts in that span, 1 walk. So this literally feels like the haves versus the have-nots. But the only thing going for the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight is Chris Paddock is 0-2 against the Diamondbacks this season. Somehow. Back on April 4th at Petco Park, D-backs won 3-1 as nearly a $2 underdog. 4 innings, 3 runs he allowed. The next time he faced him, April 27th, $1.50 favorite at Chase Field. 5 1/3, 5 runs. So Paddock has not pitched well against Arizona this year, and he's laying nearly $3. And is this the time you catch them? You catch the Padres off of the Dodgers sweep. Maybe. I don't have the confidence to take them. I'm just here to lay the facts out to you and lay out the numbers and say, you know what? Miracles do happen sometimes, even in Major League Baseball. The LA Dodgers, I talked about this yesterday. Would they be focused? Would they be ready against the Chicago Cubs after getting swept by the Padres, after getting swept by the Cubs earlier this season? Well, apparently they weren't ready because they got no hit against the Cubs. Another no-hitter in Major League Baseball, the first combined no-hitter of the season. Zach Davies led the charge for Chicago. The bullpen closed it out. But, I mean, the Dodgers, my God. I mean, you'd think you'd have some kind... I understand that you're cocky. I understand you're the defending World Series champions. But, my God, you just got swept by San Diego. I mean, a good San Diego team. You face the Cubs, who are a good team themselves, too. Let's not make it out to be the Cubs or the Pirates or the Orioles. But to get no hit after you just got swept, Chicago, good job by you. Plus 225 underdog. Way to go. And Zach Davies, that's his second really good start on the West Coast in the last few weeks. Did it against the Dodgers, did it against the Padres. So good job by him. And Chicago's pitching, since getting racked by the Marlins in back-to-back games, they've given up 0-4, 1-0. So it's not a bad job there. And the Dodgers, they've lost 4 in a row. They'll be fine, but still, you would have expected a better effort. And Walker Buehler, who rarely loses, was on the losing end last night. So tonight, Jake Arrieta, former Cy Young winner, he goes for Chicago. 5-8 record, 5.45 ERA. And he's allowed 10 runs in his last 2 starts. The Cubs are 1-4 in his last 5 starts. And the only win came as a plus 230 dog at San Diego. Tony Gonsolin goes for the Dodgers. He won't last long. He pitches like 4 innings or so. But yeah, LA off the no-hitter. Yep, spin rate, right? That's what we always talk about. Let's go to the American League now. And the Orioles, congratulations to them. They've lost 20 consecutive road games. It's a worthy accomplishment. And they will probably lose 21 in a row because they go to Matt Harvey tonight. And Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight, 2015 was a long time ago, wasn't it, against the Royals in the World Series, that he was the star of New York. He really was. And he can't buy a victory right now. This just shows you how bad the Orioles pitching staff is. Harvey's still going out there with a 3-9 record, 7.80 ERA. This is what he's allowed his last 8 starts, all right? 7.6, in 3 innings, 7.64. So you're guaranteed to get at least 4 or 5 runs off Matt Harvey tonight if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays have a very good lineup. Last time out against the Jays, 7-4 loss at Camden Yards, 4 earned runs, 9 hits in less than 5 innings. And the Orioles have been shut out the last 2 games. Meanwhile, Toronto's won 5 straight. They've allowed 2 runs the last 3 games. And they continue to pitch well, hit well, and beat teams they're supposed to beat. Alek Manoah goes for Toronto, and he's looking for just his second major league win, making his sixth start, and Toronto's 4-1 in his 5 starts. The hottest team in baseball is the Houston Astros. They've won 11 in a row, and the Astros continue their series in Detroit against the Tigers tonight. Framber Valdez goes for the Stros. Willie Peralta, the former Brewer, he takes the mound for Detroit. And for Valdez, so far 4-0 record, 1.67 ERA, and the Astros have won each of his past 4 starts. He's tossed 7 innings in each of those 4 starts. And last 3 starts, the Astros have scored 7, 14, and 7. So they continue to roll. Houston 47-28 so far on the campaign. Angels and Rays is interesting from St. Pete. Rays swept the Angels earlier this season in Anaheim, and LA is coming off 3 straight losses. Tampa Bay off the walk-off wild pitch against Boston last night. 1-0 win for the Rays, so they lost 7 straight, and they beat Boston in back-to-back games, allowed just 2 runs in those games. Now they go to the bullpen by committee tonight. Andrew Kittredge is going to start for Tampa Bay, may go 2 innings. Griffin Canning, the former UCLA Bruin, he's going to go for the Angels. He hasn't been bad his last 2 starts, 3 earned runs he's allowed, but his ERA is still north of 5. And the Angels, will see what they do here, playing with some revenge against this Tampa Bay team. Yankees and the Red Sox. Thank God Fox and ESPN have got programming this weekend because they'll have these games on. And this is a very high total tonight at Fenway, 10.5. Domingo Germán and Martin Perez on the mound. Yankees off of that series victory against the Royals. They blasted them yesterday 8-1. So New York now has won 4 of 5. They're playing better. 7 of 9 they've won since getting shut out by the Phillies. And they get the Red Sox, who swept them, remember, at Yankee Stadium just earlier this month. So now the Yankees got a little bit of revenge tonight against Boston, who has lost 3 of 4. The only win came in extra innings at Tampa Bay. They're back at home now after that road trip to Atlanta, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. And Martin Perez, who hasn't been bad for Boston. When he faced, he missed the Yankees last time they faced him, so he hasn't seen him this season. But Perez pitched better his last time out at Kansas City, 7-1 win. Before that, he allowed 11 earned runs in 2 starts, both at home. So that's a bit of a concern that his home numbers are abysmal, 6.68 ERA at Fenway Park for Perez. And for Domingo Germán, 4.17 ERA. He's given up 11 earned runs and 17 hits his last 2 starts. He went 5 2/3 last time he faced the Red Sox in the Bronx, allowed 1 run and a 6-5 loss. And that was an extra innings loss. That was the Sunday night game when Yankees tied in the 9th and the Red Sox beat them in extras. But Boston played with some revenge here, but they're a dog against the Yankees. Kansas City and Texas down in Arlington. They played on opening weekend, and the Royals took 2 of 3 then. Tonight, it's Dane Dunning on the mound, and for Dunning, the pitcher who was acquired from the White Sox in that Lance Lynn deal, the former Florida Gator, it's funny, he's got a good home ERA of 2.50, but Texas is 1-12 in his last 13 starts. So that's not good. But Mike Minor, the former Ranger, he goes for the Royals tonight. He's pitched really well on the road, but this line has kind of gone the other way where the Rangers are the favorite here. The one thing about Kansas City is with Minor, they won 4 of his past 5 starts, but since then, they're 0-4 when he's coming off, or when the Royals are coming off a win in which Minor started, and that happened last time against the Red Sox. So they've had kind of a problem capitalizing off a win last time Minor took the mound, and the Rangers split a 4-game set with Oakland, and the Royals off that road series lost to the Yankees. But they have won 7 of their past 10 series openers. So something to keep an eye on there for the Royals. The Indians and the Twins up in Minnesota, and Cleveland won last night 4-1. So now they have won 7 of 10. And Minnesota's dropped 2 in a row since a 5-game winning streak. And the Twins going to Danny Columbi. We'll get that one right someday. He will start for Minnesota tonight. And he has not pitched since 2018, and he's making his first major league start. So good luck to him. And Cal Quantrill, son of Paul, right? He goes for Cleveland. 5 scoreless innings his last time out against Pittsburgh. That was the Saturday game at PNC Park. Indians led 2-0, and then Pittsburgh busted out for 6 runs in the 7th after Quantrill got pulled. So not his fault that they lost, but he's looking to pitch well tonight. And Cleveland, look, 41-31 record. Good job by, I always say that, good job by Terry Francona. Lost a couple pieces, and they're still playing well. And Shane Bieber's still hurt. Seattle and Chicago tonight. And the White Sox still at 44-30. It feels like that they've taken a step back of late. 5 losses in a row before beating Pittsburgh on Wednesday 4-3. Now they're back at home. And they get the Mariners, who had their 5-game winning streak snapped by Colorado on Wednesday. Last time these teams played was early in the season. It was the second series of the season. White Sox took 2 of 3 up at Seattle. And a couple really good pitching performances by Carlos Rodon and Lucas Giolito in the first 2 games. Rodon goes tonight for the White Sox, and he's coming off a tough no decisions last time out in a walk-off loss to the Astros, 2-1. 7 innings, 3 hits, an earned run. In fact, 3 straight starts that Rodon has allowed 1 run in. And Rodon so far, ERA below 2, 6-2 record. So for all the arms that the White Sox have, the best number's been put up. I mean, it's Rodon and Lance Lynn, but Rodon's been impressive. He has the no-hitter from earlier this season. So that's what the White Sox are throwing out. And UC Kikuchi goes for Seattle. He has pitched better of late. 7 innings in back-to-back starts. Tough luck loss to Cleveland in extra innings. The bullpen blew that one, but then beat Tampa Bay his last time out 5-1. He personally is 3-0 his last 5 starts. So Kikuchi, he's been pretty solid of late. Then you have the Bay Bridge Series, Oakland and San Francisco, the final game of the night, Sean Manaea and Johnny Cueto. And this is always entertaining when these two teams get together. Oakland going across the bridge to San Francisco. And the A's continuing their road trip. But they probably went home last night. It's just a bus ride from Oakland to San Francisco. But Sean Manaea and Johnny Cueto on the mound. Manaea's had a really good season. Cueto's been a bit up and down. He won his last start against the Phillies, and the Giants have won now 8 of 9, so they're playing well. Oakland, they've stumbled a bit on this road trip, 3-4. Won the opener against the Yankees and lost 3 straight, and then they've taken 2 of the last 3 against the Rangers. And Manaea's got good numbers, 6-3 record, 3.01 ERA on the season. He had 11 strikeouts against the Yankees his last time out. And like I mentioned with Cueto, he beat the Phillies, but he's trying to seek some consistency, and the A's a short favorite there against the Giants. The first of 6 meetings between those two teams coming up tonight. Want to remind you, as we go back to the homepage here on VegasInsider.com, that you can check out the previews for tonight's NBA, Hawks-Bucks, the Islanders and the Lightning, Game 7 there in Tampa. Also, Mike Dempsey's horse racing preview for today. And those races getting underway in just a little bit, as well as Kevin Davis has his Major League Baseball best bets. He's got 4 of them, actually, for tonight. And you also have Wales and Denmark, Euro 2020 continuing, UFC Vegas 30 coming up this weekend, Pocono, NASCAR. Michael Roberts has the preview. So we got a lot going on here at VegasInsider.com. And remember, you can always buy picks from our handicappers. Go to MLB, NHL, NBA, those tabs up there. And buy picks. Click on that, and you can see the handicappers, $29.95 per handicapper. You go to their picks, and that's what you'll get for the day. Also, the guaranteed pick, it's just one selection, but the best selection of the day for these handicappers, $39.95, pay after it wins. So if you win, you pay, but also you won your bet. And if it's a loser, then you pay nothing. So that is for baseball, hockey, NBA. And you get all those there. You can find it on the top here. Scroll over it, buy picks. Also want to remind you about the Daily Insider contest that we have that every single day here on VegasInsider.com from Monday through Friday during the show. And all you got to do is, it's very simple. Just put your Vegas Insider user ID at the bottom and put your best bet for the day. And your best bet, whether it is Major League Baseball, NBA, WNBA, NHL, you have your choice of whatever it is, whatever you want, but it cannot be a live bet. It's got to be before the game or before the contest, whatever sporting event you decide. And put your user ID along with your best bet below in the comments section, and you will be in the running, in the drawing for a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper on VegasInsider.com. $100 value for free, but you got to win, and then once you win, you'll be in the drawing for the free picks. Now, if you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, that's fine, because you go up to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner, click on that, free membership, free. Register now. Create an ID, a password, email address, first and last name, put it all there. Don't create a name, your own name, just create the ID. And our marketing team will get in touch with you. That's how we get in touch with you, by getting that information. So if you're the big winner, then we can find you. So we want to remind you, too, to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider and like the videos. We appreciate you when you do that. We appreciate it when you don't do that, but we like you better when you do it. So thank you again. We will talk to you again on Monday. And in case you joined in late, we'll have this video up for the rest of the day on the homepage. I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, best